I knew that you would find me soon enough. You need the power of a god, the strength that I alone still carry.
The blighted Evanurists will soon break free from their prison. I must make a stronger one that can contain them.
While the prison is important, it is not the only goal you seek.
Why should I not tear down the veil and bring back immortality to all the Elven people? They deserve it.
The Elven people of today do not deserve to see the world they love be torn apart to salve your conscience.
I must fix what I have broken. I am sorry.
As am I, old friend.
Solus killed Mythal? After all that? Is this another memory from a different time?
No. He wore that same outfit in the Inquisition. We knew Solus woke up in this world without most of his power. Now we know how he got it back.
By killing the only other god around and stealing her power.
All that epic magic and godly power. In the end, it comes down to love and murder. Same as always.
Every big mistake Solus made is tied to Mythal. He sacrificed his life as a spirit to join her.
He sacrificed his morals when he created the dagger to stop the Titans.
When the other gods struck her down, he destroyed the Elven Empire to avenge her.
Then he wakes up in this world, where everything's gone but his mistakes. And there she is, alive.
And after all he's done, she sides against him again.
All these mistakes are his fault. And hers too. If she won't help him fix the world, of course he has to kill her.
So, how does everything we know help us now?
He's being honest about fighting the Blight. Whatever happens, he won't risk letting it back out into the world.
Agreed. But he has a plan to escape that prison, and not one we'll like.
He turned on Mythal, the one person he was actually loyal to. There's no way he won't turn on us.
He's a spirit, or was once. He might be able to possess someone, affect minds, all the things spirits do.
He created the veil. His very nature is tied to it. That will be a source of strength, but also a potential weakness.
Mythal has him all messed up. Anything about her or Elgernon is gonna make him angry. Sloppy.
Solus thinks he knows what's best for everyone. Anything he does, he'll do while telling himself he's the hero.
The bad news is that the god of lies and trickery is almost definitely preparing to betray us. The good news is that we've gone through his dirty laundry.
So, we know his motivations. You think we can set a trap of our own?
That's the hope.
You have witnessed the Protector's tale, Dweller, almost to its end.
Almost? How can there be more?
When the mighty fall, their echoes cross the ages. An audience is warranted. Speak with your visitor. She awaits you in the crossroads.
Can't believe Solus helped us. I'll be thinking about that for a while.
Well met, Rook.
How did you get here?
I did tell you I had my ways through Illuvians when I introduced you to the Inquisitor, did I not?
The Illuvians in general, yes, but not the Dreadwolf's crossroads.
I would think you have more pressing questions at the moment. Questions about Solus and Mythal?
Mythal?
The two gods have always been linked, have they not? First, when Mythal bade her companion spirit to abandon the Fade and take on mortal form. Then, when Solus spilled Mythal's mortal blood, that he might absorb her power as his own.
Wait, how do you know exactly what we saw of Solus's past?
Think upon it, Rook. You saw for yourself in the Dreadwolf's memories. When Mythal stood against the gods' manipulations of the Blight, she was betrayed and struck down. Yet she survived and returned ages later to aid the Inquisition in its hour of need. How?
The elven gods had access to magic beyond anything we can imagine.
To be sure, but it matters less what they possessed than what they were. You recall that the first elves were spirits, do you not? Mythal was a spirit turned elven. And when her body was struck down, to spirit she returned, her essence sheltered in a willing mortal vessel. Over the centuries she journeyed from host to host, slowly amassing her former power anew. Until once again she was struck down, on this occasion by Solus. He absorbed her power, but not her memories.
Then where did they... Wait. You?
As you say.
You're Mythal? That's why the ambient magic around you is so fractured.
Such a flattering picture you paint of this ancient bond.
What? That was like how Elganon and Gillenane can talk in your head, but...
'Twas Mythal you heard, her echoes. Yet I am not the goddess returned.
What are you, then?
I once feared Mythal would consume me were I to carry her, but 'twas not so. I remained free-willed and mortal. What I now possess is but a spark of Mythal, shadowed memories through which to sift for meaning. As to our admixture, I suspect you have questions.
So, there's the soul of an elven god inside you. How does that even happen?
Mythal's last host was my mother, Flemeth.
Oh.
When I learned she intended me to become the next receptacle of an ancient god's soul, I feared naught would be left of my own. It inevitably came to pass on a deep night. I was awakened by the presence of a blaze of magic in the shape of a woman who both was and was not my mother.
Wow. You woke up to a god floating over you.
'Twas a state between dream and wakefulness where strange things may happen to the spirit. Mythal's memories were both gift and burden, this blazing woman told me. But I must accept them of my own accord. The decision was paralyzing. What would it mean to become such a host? What would be lost if I refused? In the end, 'twas something in my mother's voice which guided me.
What was that?
Regret. Not the regret of a god, but of a mother who knew. she would never see me again. And so, my mind remains my own. What I gained was knowledge, both Mythal's and of those who bore her.
Do you have information we can use against Gillenane or Elganon? Or Solus?
The last time Mythal faced Elganon and Gillenane, she was struck down by the very dagger you now carry.
What about Solus?
You may recall he murdered Mythal's former host to claim her godly might as his own. I hoard no untapped magical secrets, Rook. What I do possess, I share freely with you and the Veil Jumpers.
All right. How can you carry Mythal's soul if you're not an elf?
Her spark has sheltered within both elves and humans who were sympathetic to her in thought and circumstance. Mythal's last host was a woman wronged, trapped by those sworn to love her. We may readily imagine their kinship.
The fall of our civilization, the wars, everything elves went through. Where was Mythal for us then?
After the gods' betrayal, she was a shadow of her former self, bereft of her power, slowly regaining her strength over the centuries. So she aided the elves as she could, speaking in dreams and offering counsel that ended blights and prevented wars.
At least now we know. You would have met Solus in the Inquisition, right?
I did indeed. 'Twas before I possessed Mythal's memories. At the time I thought Solus a scowling elven apostate whose sole passion was finding arguments. He heard me, in all my ignorance, expound on the histories of the elven people, explaining legends he had witnessed himself.
Bet he loved that.
'Tis not a memory that brings me pride.
You didn't come out here just to tell me you're Mythal.
I am not Mythal in her entirety, but yes, the Dreadwolf has occasion to visit you in dreams, where he portions out advice. And now, after finding his memories, you have peered into his deepest sorrows. Tell me then, what do you make of Solus?
I should ask you. Mythal knew Solus better than anyone.
I would influence your answer. Or do you mean to discover if I would stand directly against the Dread Wolf, were there a need?
Would you?
I shall aid you in any way but that, even had I the power. What has passed between Solus and Mythal, I beg you, do not ask this of me again.
Solus has done terrible things. What he did to Varric, what he did to Mythal, what he would have done to the whole world. But it's not because he's just trying to rule the world. He's trying to fix things. He's helping us now.
'Tis true. His intentions were always pure, whatever his actions may have been. 'Tis not malice which made Solus your opponent, but conviction, a belief that only he may halt what he set in motion. Yet Solus was once beloved of Mythal. 'Tis his very loyalty and love for his people that led to the tragedy we now face. You may be in a position to determine how it ends, more so than either of you might realize.
Well, that's not terrifying at all.
You have been thrust into the lives of gods. Fate will have its way, whether or without our permission.
Even more comforting, Morrigan.
If you would shape the outcome of your battle, I've one last secret to share. When Mythal was struck down by the other gods, it was with her own lyrium dagger, the dagger you now carry. Solus recovered it from Elganon, and from it extracted a fragment of Mythal that had lain hidden within its depths. This fragment, a younger sister to the one I carry, if you will, resides here, in the crossroads. I can open the way for you. Find her, survive the encounter, and the essence you obtain will aid you in times to come.
Another fragment of Mythal? In addition to the one inside you?
You are aware of what the word fragment means, are you not? One small piece of many, formed when something greater is broken. The first elves were spirits, as you well know, and when a spirit is broken, it may shatter into pieces, each holding part of the original. Among the ancient elves who became known as gods, Dirthaman and his brother, Falondine, are but one example.
You make it sound like this piece of Mythal is going to attack me.
You know Solus, and have seen Elganon, and memories of Mythal. They are creatures of emotion, as all spirits are. The fragment of Mythal that resides in me lived among mortals for thousands of years. She has grown wiser and more patient. This younger sister has not. She is the essence of Mythal as a god. She is unlikely to listen to polite requests, and though she is but a fragment of the goddess, the battle will test you sorely.
If she's just going to attack us, why tell us about her at all? We have enough enemies already.
A fragment of a god's essence is a powerful thing. It may give you options against Elganon and Ghilanane, or against the Dread Wolf himself, should he prove as cunning and treacherous as ever.
You would know this aspect of Mythal better than anyone. Could you try talking to her?
I dare say she would attack me on sight.
Spirits can't get along with fragments of each other.
Spirits, certainly, but the aspects of a self-righteous god who have walked different paths for ages? One bears the insult of her betrayal by the Evanuris, and then by Solus, as fresh wounds, insult upon injury. The other once fell in love with an Alamari chieftain and lived happily in a swamp for centuries. Each reminds the other that another path existed, that they could have been wrong, and nothing angers Mythal like being wrong.
What kind of spirit was Mythal before she became an elf? I know Solus is Elven for pride.
Mythal enjoyed ruling and having power, but it came not from the overweening desire to crush resistance, as is the case with Algernon. The emotion that inspired her might best be described as benevolence, a guiding hand, inclined to kindness. But like any spirit, when angered or twisted against her purpose, a more violent aspect arose. Where the Dreadwolf's wisdom gave way to pride when the world did not meet his standards, Mythal's benevolence gave way to retribution. After all, when kindness fails, the guilty must be punished.
If I were to try to talk with her, do you have any suggestions?
She will demand respect, but detest flattery. She appreciates righteous anger, but will not tolerate pity. She is, for want of better phrasing, prickly. But if you are determined to try, then I wish you luck.
Thank you for the information, Morrigan.
There is one more thing, if I may. Something whispered not by myself, but Mythal. The elves have learned many of the glories and horrors of ancient Elvenon. Yet your people live in this world now as the old elves never could. Know it as they could not. There is your strength. 'Tis why you shall surpass what came before one day.
Did Mythal see this? Is it a prediction?
A hope from a mother to her distant children, no less beloved than any before them.
A god's fragment, sharper than the whole, prevail, or be sundered completely.
We're getting close to where Morrigan said that other fragment of Mythal was. has to be her.
Mythal herself. There's so much we could learn if... Do you think she might talk to us instead of attacking?
Guess we'll find out.
You are Rook. I have seen you and your companions. I never again expected to see my children in the Dreadwolf's crossroads. And you know who I am?
Mythal.
The part of me that survived betrayal by the rest of the Evenuris, if this can be called surviving. Solus. He drew me from the dagger that struck me down, but what is left of me can only survive here. I cannot return to the world, and even the true Fade is denied me. All I can do is watch. Have you come to seek the blessing of your god? Or did you come to ask your god to sacrifice herself to help you defeat the monsters Elganon and Gillenane have become?
You are not my god. And I'm done talking to you.
Ungrateful child. You would not be here had I not waded through fire and blood to give the Elven a future. You desire the essence of a god and think you deserve it. Then take it if you can!
Everyone get ready.
Wow! She's enormous!
A god's fragment, sharper than the whole, prevail, or be sundered completely.
We're getting close to where Morrigan said that other fragment of Mythal was. has to be her.
Mythal herself. There's so much we could learn if... Do you think she might talk to us instead of attacking?
Guess we'll find out.
You are Rook. I have seen you and your companions. I never again expected to see my children in the Dreadwolf's crossroads. And you know who I am?
Mythal.
The part of me that survived betrayal by the rest of the Evenuris, if this can be called surviving. Solus. He drew me from the dagger that struck me down, but what is left of me can only survive here. I cannot return to the world, and even the true Fade is denied me. All I can do is watch. Have you come to seek the blessing of your god? Or did you come to ask your god to sacrifice herself to help you defeat the monsters Elganon and Gillenane have become?
I came here to ask for your help. The gods have endangered the world, and...
You dare explain to me what they are doing? You are 1,000 years from knowing the proper words.
We saw Solas's memories, his regrets.
You saw the recollection he cultivated like a tree, twisting to catch the sun. You wish for my help? Convince me. Make your case, and I will yield my essence willingly to help you against Elganon and Gillenane. Fail, and I shall kill you for wasting my time, or you will kill me and obtain my essence in doing so. A harder-edged, simpler version. It has been centuries since a petitioner stood before me, so why should I help you?
Solus is helping me.
Solus is using you. Besides, why should I esteem the Dreadwolf's approbation? He rebelled against me.
But the two of you stayed close.
Until he killed the tattered fragment of me who hid inside the human swamp witch and wept. He keeps me here, yet has not visited since waking from his slumber. Tell me this. What should I have done when Solus turned against me after all we had been to one another?
Maybe you should have listened when he warned you about staying on as rulers after the war.
Are you saying I was wrong?
You asked me what you should have done. I can't prove my worth by lying to you. Solus didn't want to manifest a physical body or destroy the Titans. He did things he hated because he cared about you. Supporting you and Elganon becoming rulers was the one line he wouldn't cross. If someone who followed you everywhere refused to follow you there, what does that say?
Not bad, but not enough. Let us speak of something else.
If I don't stop the gods, the whole world will be corrupted by the Blight.
That is why you must succeed, so tell me why I must help you.
We know the truth about the Blight. We know it came from the imprisoned dreams of the Titans after you and Solus defeated them.
And?
Stopping the Blight mattered enough for you to talk with Solus, even after he rebelled against you. It mattered enough for you to stand against the other gods.
And I was struck down for doing so, betrayed by those I had ruled beside for centuries.
You made the difficult choice to protect your home, because it was the right thing to do. Help me do the same.
If you wish to prove your worth, you must do better than that.
You can't want Elganon and Gillenane to rule the world. Not after what they did to you.
I ruled alongside them for centuries. I bear them no love now, and they were ever flawed, as all rulers are. Yet they were better than the others who threatened your ancestors. Monsters like the Titans, or selfish fools like Anaris. Set the Blight aside, and tell me why I should help you topple your own gods.
My team and I killed Inaris.
Really?
He was using the chaos of the weakened Veil to return to the world. He was going to turn elves into demons.
He is a monster.
Was a monster. I am not a god, but I protect the elven people just the same.
Yes. I suppose you do. I find you worthy, Rook. I have spent thousands of years watching. I shall miss that. But if what I am can protect the innocent and smite the guilty, this is what remains of me. I give it to you freely. Use it to protect this world with kindness when possible and cunning when necessary.
I will. Thank you.
I offer one further boon. I cannot enter the physical world or the pure Fade, but in this place, I still carry some power. Evil has intruded here. The Blight, seeded by Elganon and Gillenane. Find it, and when you meet your greatest challenge, I will fly one last time.
The essence of the Protector. Methalinast. Like a piece of the sun. I've never felt something so alive. And now, how to use it. God knows her moment, at least her essence does. When the time comes, we'll be ready. We did it. We got Mythal's essence.
And we didn't even have to fight her!
Not sure what we do with it just yet, but if Morrigan's telling the truth, it'll come in handy at some point.
Hey, Bellara. You okay? You look sad.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about my brother.
Yeah. Sometimes I see stuff that reminds me of my mother.
What do you do? When it hits you, I mean.
I don't know. I ask someone how they're doing. Then I'm thinking about them and not me.
Oh. I'm sorry, Tosh.
Nah. It's a good hurt. Mostly.
Our enemies are gods, Rook. Nobody fights those alone. That's why Solus lost and why you'll win. He always thought his attachments were a tragic flaw he had to overcome. But they're a strength.
The Dalish prisoners escaped safely?
We got them away free and clear.
Good. I do not know how you have found your dealings with the Dalish. Whatever my frustrations with them, it was a privilege to be able to help our people again. Thank you for allowing me to help. Chance to infuriate Elganon was a reminder of simpler times.
You said you found the Dalish frustrating. Why is that?
It is unfair to them. I lived for thousands of years, and after I imprisoned the Evanuris, I slept for thousands more. I awoke in a world that had forgotten the ancient times almost entirely. And those who tried to remember elven history, like the Dalish, had gotten so much wrong.
Like the terrible trickster Fen'Harel who sealed away the gods?
There was truth to their stories. My rebellion had indeed disrupted the lives of those who had been comfortable. And when I created the Veil, I destroyed an empire. Their judgments were fair, if clouded. I tried to explain the truth to one clan. When I convinced them that I was truly Fen'Harel, they attacked me. After that, I hid my explanations behind the facade of having witnessed events in the Fade.
And every mage knows that what we see in the Fade might not be literally true.
Yes. The Dalish had no reason to believe me. I could only watch as they continued to worship Elganon, though we may have seen the last of that tradition, at least.
You and Elganon were really tearing into one another back there.
I needed to goad him to anger in order to distract him.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, while all of the Evanuris were monsters in their own ways, Elganon was the worst. Or perhaps it is more honest to say that his were the faults I've found most objectionable. You have met him now, heard his voice hammering at the doors of your mind, and you have met me. Can you see how he and I might frustrate one another?
The way the two of you argued, they didn't feel like enemies. They felt like family.
How so?
Family knows you better than anyone, and that can be good or bad.
I had not thought of it that way. But yes, we had centuries to stoke the fires of our hatred. I saw his rise to tyranny coming, and could not stop it. And he saw me disrupt his plans for dominion time and time again.
All right. I can see how you and Elganon would hate each other.
He has always been what I most feared becoming. Callous and uncaring, his arrogance unchecked. To have that much power and no one to remind him that he could be wrong.
Well, he had you.
And I suppose I had you.
I'll have to take your word for that.
When we first met, I saw you only as a foolishly confident child who disrupted my plans. You were an irritant. I gave you information to oppose Elganon out of necessity, but I expected you to be nothing more than a tool. Seeing you with your team, I was wrong.
Yeah, you were.
A mistake I shall endeavor not to repeat. Your team trusts you, and you listen to them. It is impressive and enviable. It took me centuries to build such a bond during my rebellion, and when I served the Inquisition, I tried to avoid entanglements.
Except for Inquisitor Llewellyn.
I said that I resolved to do so, not that I succeeded. She is a good woman. Growing close to her was selfish of me.
Do you regret it?
I live with countless regrets. Some of them I have grown to cherish more than my victories.
Thank you for sharing that. So, what comes next? What are the gods going to do?
Elganon and Gillenane are preparing the dagger they will use for their ritual to pierce the veil. Elganon's power is tied to light and darkness. He will need to perform a ritual during the next eclipse.
That gives us some time to prepare.
It is likely to be your last chance to do so. You must be ready for whatever comes, for this world and for the team that trusts you. I know that you will do everything in your power not to fail them.
So now Algernon's recovered his own archdemon, and the gods only need an eclipse to complete their dagger.
We saved the Dalish, though.